top story of the day. Karmelo Anthony's team hosted a press conference. Dominic Alexander was at the forefront, and he was standing representing the Next Generation Action Network. So this thing already got political. There's already a racial angle on it. And damn it, we didn't want to have either one of those. We didn't want politics or race to be a part of this. We just wanted due process to run its course. And now we're not allowed to do that. Now we have all kinds of other activists and people who are coming in with their prepaid opinions and pre-made opinions, and now this whole thing just got really ugly. We heard from the mom, kind of heartbreaking there, but not as apologetic as you would have hoped. There's still the rumors floating around about the car in the house that they tried to dispel, that they sort of sidestepped, and this is a mess. This is 800-288-9227 if you want to jump in on the conversation. He had mentioned an influencer at the end of that press conference. We may be having her on the phone coming up in the next segment. So stand by for that. This is Alfred in Denton. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Alfred?
Yeah, this is the first time I listened to your show.
Oh, welcome. And, so you love it.
And I'll tell you what, all I hear from you is a lot of innuendos and a lot of making statements that you haven't even verified.
Like what?
First of all we know is you're making decisions based not knowing all the facts. Nobody really knows all the facts other than there was a stabbing. And based on some of the information that has come out, there was two brothers. It wasn't just the one brother, okay? They're twins. And they both, from what I understand, they both attacked Karmelo. So he was defending himself. And all
right, hang on. Can I go ahead and pause that?
There had been a previous altercation.
Can I go ahead and pause you right here before you get to the previous altercation stuff? So I read the police reports, and it's only 11 pages. The other brother didn't even see it. The other brother wasn't. Not only was he not attacking him, he wasn't even facing that direction when it happened. He didn't see his own brother get stabbed in the heart. That's according to other eyewitnesses, and that's according to the statements he gave police. So these people who are telling you both of them attacked him, if you really read in the police report, a couple of people said he touched his arm.
I read the police report.
That's fine. I'm just telling you.
There's still some investigation.
Okay, hang on. So I read the police report. There was a witness that said he grabbed his arm. There was another witness that said he pushed him. So that's all we have. This whole attack escalation, as far as your verbiage goes, is quite dishonest. And whoever's telling you that, you need to go back and start discounting everything else they've ever told you in your entire life, because they are passing along rumors, and they are the ones. Hey, they may be proven right, but where's the evidence for that? I haven't seen that, and I've looked for it, and I actually took the time to read the police reports. So
we don't need you all condemning a young man that was protecting himself. That other Metcalf should have kept his hands to himself. That's what his parents should have taught him.
So if someone grabs your arm, that's a pretext for killing them.
If there was a previous altercation and Karmelo was afraid of him,
so that's a yes.
He had already had an altercation with him, and he felt.
Define altercation. Define altercation.
Yes,
did they?
I don't know.
Did they get into a? Did they get into a fist fight? Did they get into another fight that previously included life-threatening weapons? Does an altercation means they exchanged tense words? You can't just throw out altercation. Well, if they had an altercation before, hang on. If they had an altercation before and someone grabs your arm, I still don't think that's a pretext to plunge a knife in his heart.
You know what? I don't care what you think. You know what? You're not Karmelo, and you didn't know what he felt. He might have felt his life threatened, and he had the right to defend himself. And as far as you're concerned, his parents should have taught him to keep his hands to himself. That's the truth. If I know somebody might come over and do harm to myself, you know what? I'm going to defend myself. I don't care who it is. So don't try to make it sound like this young Karmelo was by, All
right. Did you get the dump? Okay, we got it. We were doing so well. Why'd you have to cuss, Alfred? I just stopped talking for there, and I was going to let him just keep going. I cannot believe that some people say if someone grabs your arm, you can plunge a knife in their heart. Totally justified. Oh, you don't know if there was an altercation before. I don't care if there was 10 altercations before. If someone grabs your arm, you don't kill them. Unless you're like in the Tet Offensive in the middle of Vietnam and someone sneaks out of like a hole and grabs you and starts pulling you in a booby trap, maybe. This isn't the Dirty Dozen. They were at a Frisco track meet. These are children in high school. Oh, you should teach your kid not to put his hands on someone else. Well, I'm also teaching my kids at some point, people are going to make physical contact with you. Refrain. Resist the urge to take their life in the most personable manner where you put a knife in another kid's heart. Wow. Shame on you, Alfred. You're a sick dude. That is not cool. I really hope 98% of the people listening disagree with your side, and they're with me on that one. And look, let me just go ahead and get it out on the record. How about we not put knives in each other's hearts? How about that? How about the guy who stabs the other guy for getting touched is probably in the wrong? There's going to be a little more need for a justification than, well, maybe they had an altercation before. He was attacked by two brothers. People get attacked by two people in high school all day, every day. There's people getting in fights in high schools all day, every day. This guy pulled out a knife and stabbed another one in the heart. You can't go, woo, that's wrong. Or, hey, that's at least close enough to wrong that I'm not going to have a full-throated defense of the court of public opinion by calling the biggest talk radio station in Texas and show the world how easily I will excuse evil as long as it fits my
If you're defending yourself.
Wait. He's still there. I can't let him back on again. 800-288-9227. Maybe Sarah Fields, the guy that Dominic Alexander mentioned at the end of the press conference, the influencer, the conservative, whatever, that was posting. He had printed out some of her tweets and was holding them up. I think she's going to be on the show next. Stick around. I tell you, out in Bug Tussle, the tiny little hometown I'm from, when I say we all know each other, it's kind of comical sometimes. There was, toward the end of the press conference, Dominic Alexander, the guy that was heading the Karmelo Anthony team press conference today, started holding up tweets that he had printed out from social media, and he targeted one influencer in particular, journalist probably is a better word for it, Sarah.
I'm going to show something up of a post. You come for me, I come for you. Sarah Fields. Never heard of this woman. This is the kind of despicable things that led to the father being here. Political operatives motivating this family with hate. Karmelo Anthony posted on something that shows, posted here. These are the type of lies that are threatening this family. Posting the family's picture.
Oh, not
These
a picture.
are the type of lies.
Not a picture.
She's getting millions of views.
Pictures are lies now, y'all.
On this. Sarah. She's even came after me. I asked, because these racist bigots tried to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy.
Yeah, enough of that. And the racist bigot herself is now on the James Show. Sarah Fields, how's it feel to be part of the press conference today?
That, to be honest with you, that was pretty wild. My jaw dropped and I had to gather myself. I was not expecting that at all today.
So why would you lie about Dominic Alexander on social media, Sarah?
My goodness, I don't know. There's so much documentation that I guess I fully edited, took hours to edit by myself. And, AI is crazy these days. Man, he's angry. He's angry because I exposed him for who he is.
So I think most people may have heard of this guy, but don't realize his backstory. Can you give like the 30-second summary of what you found out about our friend Dominic?
30 seconds is really hard, but I'll try. My investigation basically started into his organization called the Next Generation Action Network Foundation, which is a BLM supporting 501c3 that he's actually owned 5 or 6 different ones that have been named similar the same, and he bounces from 501c to 501c because he does not keep track of his financial records, and he's filed records twice since 2014 with the IRS.
And you're supposed to do that every year. It's fun that you were focusing on that. I figured you would focus on, the going to prison and getting convicted of other crimes and then breaking your parole violations and going out of state without telling your parole officer and things like that.
So I did, actually. I did go into that.
Oh, you got that too? Okay.
Probably, yeah, which is what also angered him. I have 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different photos of him, mugshots, where he caused felony injury to a child in 2009. It was a 2-year-old that he caused brain injury to. I have where he forged a check. He led police on a high-speed chase in 2009. He has gotten in trouble for car theft, falsely claiming that his car was stolen, offensive physical contact. He has violated his probation multiple times, theft of property, robbery, felony assault causing serious bodily injury in 2019. Another misdemeanor assault in 2019, violence against family. I actually looked into that further, and it turns out that he actually attempted to strangle his girlfriend. Another theft, making a false report, evading arrest. It goes on. And I did put out an exclusive of all that, plus the fraudulent organization that he runs.
Right.
And I guess that angered him to the point that he felt the need to mention me today in his press conference.
All right, Sarah, I'm only going to bother you for one more minute because I know you're in the middle of something right now. But one thing where he did push back against some of your reporting is he was saying, well, we haven't used any of the Give, Send, Go money to buy a car or rent a new house. We haven't even gotten access to that money yet. But he never says we didn't rent a new big house or buy a new car. What's your response to that?
Well, he did. They did. The family did purchase a new car. They are renting an $800,000 home. They don't own it. They rent it.
But did that start since this in the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
Wow.
See, the thing is, they say that they do not have access to the funds yet, but you can make decisions based on, I will be receiving these funds eventually. Not to mention, I would also like to point out that a lot of people are saying, oh no, they've been in this home for a while, they had this car for a while. Okay, if this is true and they were living large like that, let's just say it's true for a minute. Then why did they tell the judge on Monday at the bond hearing that they were hard up for money and that they needed the bond lowered? And then, because they said they were so hard up for money and they were hurting so bad, they didn't even cover the bond amount. A bondsman is actually who volunteered his own money to cover the bond. They didn't even pay for it.
All right, get back to taking care. We're out of time here. Get back to taking care of your kiddos. Keep an eye on these guys, and you big old racist bigot. We'll have you on future shows to keep track of this because I think we made a new friend. He didn't know who you were before, but I don't see any reason why Sarah Fields and Dominic Alexander can't be friends after all this. One more clip here before I get back to the phones.
And I want you to give overwhelming support to show them the community united can never be divided. And I'm going to say this again. And this is for everybody. Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day.
Yeah, what does that have to do with this? What does that have to do with what happened at the track meet in Frisco? 800-288-9227. This is Jorge, Wichita Falls. Thank you for calling in WBAP. What do you think, Jorge?
I'm glad I was on hold a long time because I'll tell you right now, I was really upset when I first called. These guys are just milking it, people shouldn't be hateful like that. And it's something that we got to get over.
Well, he says you're the hateful one. If you're not on his team, you're on the bad one.
Well, I tell you what, I've got Puerto Rican friends, and a lot of them are black. And over there, you can say "mi negro," and it's love, But here we don't have that, But the reason I'm really calling is because I'm sick and tired of you guys making all these idiots famous, whether it be the mass shooter, whether it be that punk in Frisco or that punk wherever. I don't even know their names. I don't care to hear their names because you guys are making them famous. You guys are idolizing them, and you guys are milking on them. It makes me sick. You shouldn't give their name out so they can raise money for them. That's my feeling, sir.
Should I give him like an avatar, like a fake name?
I don't know. Whatever makes you happy. I call him punk. That's what they are. Little punk kids is what they are.
Well, I have a similar criticism for not just me, but the rest of the media here. Like, why does this killing get so much more attention than other ones? Why does the mass shooting that happened at Florida State today, and it's a terrible tragedy, but why does it get, like, there was a mass shooting in Conway, Arkansas on April 13th. So that's just 4 days ago?
Because
2 people were killed. 2 people were killed. 9 people were injured. Now, why isn't that a national story?
Because y'all love pushing. It's not just you. It's the liberal media pushing the black and white issue, trying to divide us. And you know this. I know this. Why can't y'all pick up on that and just drop it? And just, they're punks. If you're doing something like that, you're punk. And quit pushing the story. It's freaking annoying, man.
But Jorge, I didn't bring up the race. Dominic Alexander brought up race. I'm responding to Dominic Alexander. Well, if someone plays the race card, look, if someone calls you hang on a second, if someone calls you a racist or a Nazi, you don't think you should push back against that allegation? You don't think you should refute it?
I'm going to give you a good quote, and I love her. It's my girl, Dana.
Okay.
Go tell them to go pound sand. I could care 2 trucks.
All right.
I don't care.
Well, I feel a little differently about that. I'm tired of living in a world where we have to pretend like it's Mississippi burning 1949 or whatever, and my kids are always painted as like the evil ones in all these stories. And look, I can ignore it. What happens when the downtown starts catching fire? Can we talk about it then? What about when the political activists on their side of the aisle shoot and kill, 5 or 6 Dallas cops? Can we talk about it then? How many people have to die before it's okay to talk about it? Christy, Fort Worth, you're on WBAP. Your thoughts?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to point out that the rumors going around that he was bullied. Of course, it's a rumor, but since when is that justification for murder?
Yeah, I guess that's a stabbing. Yeah, I guess that's a stabbing.
Wouldn't all school shooters that say they were bullied be justified?
They're coming up with any justification because it's a tribal approach. You heard him say it in the last little soundbite. Community, we got to stick together. A community that sticks together can never be divided. Well, what if the guy who matches my skin tone is a murderer? Do I still stick by him? According to Dominic Alexander, yeah. The most important thing is not the content of your character or whether or not he should have stabbed the other kid. Can someone with our skin tone get away with it? And that's sickness, and I have no problem calling it out. And I don't care what Jorge says. I'm going to call it out as long as I have a microphone in front of me.
I'd like to know what your listener, Alfred, had to say if the school shooters were justified, because he felt it was purely justified because he touched him.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Someone had... yeah. Here it is. Kristen actually wrote me a good Facebook message about Alfred. She says, I would just say to Alfred, if Karmelo was so scared for his life and bullied... why did he go sit in their tent? Why not sit in your tent? Yeah, if you're so scared, right? Why are you in their tent? If these 2 guys just picking on you and so much so that you fear for your life, why would you go to their tent? And the quote that is in the police report, touch me and see what happens, is not what a scared person says. That's a pretext for an escalation of violence. Nothing but your reaction for the rest of the show. Because we got a lot of people lined up here. And some of them look pretty good. Bill, Dallas, you're on WBAP. What do you think, sir?
Well, I think, it's a bunch. So with race, as far as race is concerned, America's race ready. As soon as something happens, it's like we wait to see what race, and boom, whichever side comes at the other side about race. It's irrelevant for me with this one. I'm a black guy.
We can tell.
So... My initial call was about the parenting part, and there's this lack of fathers in the house, not necessarily they're not involved, but in the house for sure. It kind of runs side and side with, say, I hate to say it, but say women's rights movements, the late 70s, black marriage decline, pregnancies increase, prisons for blacks and all that. Okay, so we get here today, and you have a ton of kids who don't have, say, the courage to ball their fist and fight, so they take a gun, they take a knife. They are the kids that tend to be bullied and shoot somebody. The point I'm getting to is this. The lack of respect for life has been driven through everything from the movies to video games, politics, rap music. It's a disrespect for life.
Can I? My initial reaction to that is white kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids. They're all listening to hip hop these days. We're all watching the same movies. We all have access to the same TV shows. I think there's something a little more ingrained than that, and
Correct.
This guy has a stepfather in the home, Karmelo Anthony. So it's not the absence of a male figure in the home. It's that you find out your biological father's not in the home. The first decision that he made in life is that your life is not so important that he's going to stick around for it. And actually, since you are a derivative of him, it's just life in general is not something that once it's created, you go nurture it and you go take care of it and you go build a fence around it and you go protect it and provide for it. No, life is just a thing that's happened. You meet some girl in the club and you exchange some bodily fluids. Oops, there's a life. And if that's the value of the life that you're taught by your father not being around, that explains a lot of the numbers, because the numbers are also that doesn't match. When I talk about how you're like 30 times more likely to end up addicted to chemicals or 10 times more likely to end up in prison if you don't have your biological father in the home, the one anomaly to these statistics is kids that don't have their father because he died. So if your mom's a widow, then you don't have the father, but you were never abandoned. And so I'm starting to think that there's some sort of just that first primal abandonment that has the ripple effect in adulthood that has people not valuing life. And some people like to put that in abortion or violent crime or drug use or prostitution or any of these other things. But there's something weird going on, and I think that's something we need to pursue far more than looking at the color of people's skins. This isn't a race issue. This isn't a problem with the black community. This is a problem with the born out of wedlock community.
Right. And that number, that percentage is huge in the black community.
Over 70 now. Over 70%.
I got 3 black boys, and I tell them each day before they go to school, hey, man, make good choices, because you get to make your choices, but when it involves someone else, you don't get to pick the consequence.
All right, Bill.
And
I got like 8 more calls in only 2 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Good stuff. Sean, Roy City, go.
Hey, James. Hey. All right, so if this boy was being bullied so much so that he thought needed to bring a knife to school to defend himself, what happened to the adults in the equation? And I'm not talking about just the boy's parents. I'm talking about the teachers, the principals, everybody around him.
That makes you're putting way too much thought into this. If he really was being bullied, that he needed to bring a knife, he wouldn't go sit in their tent. If he thought there's a mortal threat to his life. Yeah, and the quote of "touch me and see what happens" is not the quote of a scared man.
But I mean, outside of that, if his defense is, I was afraid for my life. I was bullied. I felt afraid for my life. I needed to defend myself with lethal force. Okay? Doesn't matter what he used. Lethal force. Okay? If that's his argument, it falls apart. Did you seek help from the adults around you? No. Then you were being bullied, because there's so many other outlets for him to get help, and he didn't.
I can hear how upset you are, Sean. You just must have been over on hold getting fired up. Man, I wish you could see. My phones were completely full the entire show. I'm leaving 4 good calls on the table, and I'm so sorry I couldn't get to all of you. It was a great show. Not a fun one, but one this conversation needs to keep happening and spreading, and we'll get through this. Things are getting better. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but things are getting better, and this will all go away. It's something we'll laugh about in 20 years. Remember when we went through that little racial tension in the 20s? I'm James Parker. Stick around. Mark Levin's next. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.